Welcome back, family. Today we are going to decode the tabernacle using the signs in the sun, moon, and stars. Thanks for coming. Let's dig in. The first thing that we're going to do today is we are going to go over the furnishings of the tabernacle. Um, This is going to be our foundation for understanding all of these signs. And so we're going to quickly go through. I will attach this and also a study. We're not going to go into this study. This video is not about um, the tabernacle, the earthly tabernacle. This is a video about understanding the above, the as above, so below. Some of you will think of that statement as something nefarious or satanic. A lot of people put labels on a lot of things, but these are ancient statements that were made long before there was ever religions that were made from this Mazzaroth story. This goes back into the ancient times. The heavens were a manifestation that was represented on earth, and the original humans did everything they could to represent the heavens on earth. And that's why they had the temples that they had, and that's why they ended up turning all of these things into religious doctrines. We are going to uncover how this goes back to ancient times, and it's really a story of the Mazzaroth. So let's dig in. We're just going to quickly point out these furnishings that are in the tabernacle. The first thing we have is the altar of burnt offering. It's made of acacia wood. It's covered with bronze. The altar was light enough for the Levites to carry during the wilderness wanderings. Then you have the bronze basin. This is cast of solid bronze. The basin was used for ceremonial washings. The altar of incense, placed before the tabernacle curtain. This altar was used regularly to burn incense before Yahweh. The table of showbread. The bread of the presence lay on it at all times. Then you have the golden lampstand, a symbol of the tree of life. It held 7 oil lamps. And we're going to dig into that a little deeper into this study. But last but not least, we have the Ark of the Covenant, the holiest object of the Israelite worship. The Ark symbolized God's presence and contained the tablets of the law. And what we're going to do today is we are going to break down this tabernacle with the court and everything. We're going to show you how all of these furnishings that are found in the book of Exodus are actually a representation or a shadow of the heavenly objects. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go here, and this is a work that I did decoding the heavens compared to the heavenly temple. Excuse me, fam. And we're going to decode this and show you how each of these things that were represented on the earth are a representation of a heavenly sign. So the first thing that you'll see is on the right, you'll see Spica and Virgo, and the entrance into the temple marked by the pink line is the celestial new year. And using this understanding is how I came up with the understanding of the ancient uh, wheel in heaven that connected me to the Enoch calendar and how to decode that using the sun, moon, and the stars. Now, there's a lot of watchmen out there and very, very good Bible researchers who've done a lot of work on the calendar, and a lot of them are using one or two of the sun, moon, and stars, but they're not connecting the sun, the moon, and the stars. We have a lot of watchmen and Bible teachers that are they're connected to the Israelite understanding during their time in Babylon and during the time of the Exodus. And all of this would have been connected to what we call the shadow, which is the moon. And the moon is a reflection of the light of the sun. And this is where all of the Jewish religion comes from, is from the shadow of the heavenly reality. So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you quickly how we determine this celestial new year, and we're going to show you how that's connected with this entrance to the outer court of the tabernacle. So quickly we're going to go back here and we're going to jump into Stellarium, and we have Virgo pulled up here, and you can see I have the green meridian line. What we're going to do is we're going to track this meridian line all the way over to the other side of the heavens, and we're going to be looking at I'm going to have to do it this way just because of how I pulled it back. And what we want to do is we want to look at this alignment with Aries and the meridian. And in my work years and years ago, when I was trying to determine this, I was having problems connecting the dots, and I kept aligning with Spica, and it was throwing me off because it didn't align with some of the scriptures that I had found and some of the history that I had found of the Jews using Aries to determine their first month. Now again, that would be post Exodus, and that means that it would be 6 months off of the original Enochian calendar, which is still used by the Jews today as their civil calendar, although they again are using the moon to track their days and their holy days. And if you look at the Essenes, they held to an older Enochian calendar using the sun, the moon, and the stars. And they did not follow the Jewish moon calendars, and you can read about that in the book of Jubilees, and there are other scriptures that are embedded into the Bible that can be decoded to prove that the moon calendars are only a reflection of the actual heavenly system, and it will always put you off because you're only using one part of what we call the ancient code of Enoch. And there were three wheels within a wheel in the Ezekiel images, and the understanding of the Ezekiel wheel is actually the Mazzaroth. It's three wheels within each other, just like if you were to look at the way that the ancient uh, South Americans with their calendars and their sunstones and their ways of tracking the years and the days and the months. They had multiple calendars that all interlock, and that's exactly how we are to look at the Mazzaroth. It is three wheels, and they all interlock with each other. The sun is a 365.25 days. The moon is 354 days, and the stars are 364 days. In the book of Jubilees, you'll read that if you use the moon to calculate your time, you will be 10 days off, and that is a direct sign, or it's a pointing to the difference between a lunar calendar and a star calendar. It is not connected to the solar year because the solar year is 365.25 days. And they explicitly said 10 days off, which means they are comparing the lunar mansions and the lunar calendar to the star calendar of Enoch. There always had to be very specific star alignments that coincided with the sun and the moon in order for them to make their calculations of the start of the years. And this is how these calculations would have passed down to all of the Sabbaths and the holy days. And so in the book of Jubilees, we read how all of these days that the Jews were following were throwing off their calendars and making a unholy day a holy day. And so in my pursuit to understand the Mazzaroth and how these ancient calendars work, I made a very important connection. I'm going to go ahead and connect my video from last year in the descriptions. I don't want to have to bring it up. It will crash my computer. What we're going to do is we're going to use that video to determine how I came up with this Mazzaroth calendar. And this Mazzaroth calendar is been proven out. You can follow Brother Dana, and he has used this calendar to track all of the voyage of the book of Acts. And you can't make those kinds of things up. This is the signs in the sun, moon, and stars helping us to determine our years and our days, and that would directly apply with our Sabbaths and our holy days. So let's go back over to Virgo and we will finish breaking down how I came up with this. So number one, I originally was using Spica as my beginnings of years, and the reason I did that was because of the Dendera star map, or this Dendera star code. And in the Dendera star map, there is only 2 stars in the entire map. Let's go ahead and, I believe I have that pulled up. I don't have Dendera. Oh, that's right. When I pulled up the Dendera, it caused my computer to crash. I've been working on this for hours and hours, family, and I've had just disaster after disaster working to get all of these things up, and I just have to close so many things because I can't open them up. My computer starts overheating and the fan starts making all kinds of noise, and then it crashes. And so I'm walking on eggshells here with what I already have opened up. So we will attach all of these things in the description for you to look at. You can pull up the Dendera star map and you can do some research in that, and you will find that there are only 2 stars on the entire star map. It is Spica and Sirius. And if you understand anything about the ancient Egyptian understanding of Spica and of Sirius, these were connected in all of the ancient stories. And what we're going to do today is we're going to show you how this meridian line lined up with the very beginning of Aries places the ancient New Year right here after the Spica star, and here we are on the 20th of January 2025, and we have a witness showing up for this alignment. And this is very, very special because we have Vesta in the house, and we have the moon. Let's go ahead and take a closer dig into the moon, and we can see that the moon is just about to align with the Spica star. And we know that Spica is looked at as the harvest star. You can see in the hand of Virgo the wheat sheaf, or the grain sheaf. And the other sign that is associated with this sign is here. On this same day, we see some very, very important signs. In the Mazzaroth, we see the moon is about to align with Spica, and Metis is about to enter the altar of Libra. So now we're going to go back and we are going to dig into this breakdown of the tabernacle. and then we're going to go back and we're going to look at what we have as a sign coming up on the 20th. So the first thing is this entrance gate to the outer courtyard is represented by this celestial new year. And we can look at this as exactly 6 months from the what we call Exodus New Year. And again, I'm going to attach my video from the very beginning of the year, and you will be able to see how I made this determination. In this video, we're going to just break down all of these houses and how they are a heavenly representation. As above, so below. All of the temple construction, the design, and everything was a perfect representation of what we see in the heavens. So immediately we see on the right, we see Libra, which in the ancient depictions, as I've always said, is an altar. And we see the altar of burnt offerings as the first vessel in the outer courtyard. Then next we see the laver, the vessel of water, and we have Scorpio, which is a water sign. And then we have the next pink line, which you can see that points down to the door of the holy place, and this is the entrance to the huppah of Ophiuchus, which is the between the legs of Ophiuchus. And this connects up into the heavens to what we call the marriage chamber, and this is why between the legs of Ophiuchus is what we call the holy place or the protected place. Within this we have multiple things. We have the table of showbread, and we have the menorah, and we have the burning altar, and we can go back to Stellarium, and we can see here that we have these things as a representation. We have Ara, which is the burning altar in heaven, and this is the representation of the altar, the burning altar. Here in this image we can see here is Ara, the burning altar, and that is different than the sacrificial altar or the marriage altar. And we have the menorah, and in the ancient times this was a representation of tabernacles, and we now know that this tabernacle feast or festival has been transferred. The entire thing has been transferred to Hanukkah because of the defilement of the tabernacle or the temple. The holy place was defiled, and they had to reinstitute the ordinances. They had to re-anoint all of the pieces within the altar, and they had to rededicate the temple. That's why Hanukkah is called the Feast of Dedication. And so we have a transfer from a 7-pointed menorah to a 9-pointed menorah. And that is a direct representation of the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh being added to the menorah, making the Hanukkah menorah. And we can see how these things in heaven are an exact match of our signs in the heaven. We have all of our pictures in the heaven of this heavenly tabernacle. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into this image here. This is taken from the Dendera. This is Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Ophiuchus. This is showing us some very, very specific things, and it connects directly with what we were doing in Apophis Strikes with this solar boat. You can see here in the center of the image you have Ophiuchus, and he has the sun on top of him. And this is a picture of the sun in the constellation of Ophiuchus, making Ophiuchus inside of the solar boat. And you can also see a representation of that in the Sagittarius constellation. You can see he has his helmet on with the solar sign on the top, and his 2 front feet are seated into the solar boat. And we see a representation of Libra, the scales, and we have Corona, and we can also see this boat, this solar boat, as serpens. And the head of serpens is trying to get to the Corona Borealis. And we won't go into the other depictions, but we will point out that these are all connected to these heavenly houses as a representation of the celestials. And we see those celestial signs here with Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, and Ophiuchus. And all of this comes directly after the celestial new year, as the sun traverses through these in the Mazzaroth. So we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at how this last section, which we consider the Holy of Holies, we can see the next pink line, which is the veil between the holy place and the Holy of Holies. And this veil is represented to us as the Milky Way. So let's get into this, and you can see here that there is what's called the dark rift. You can look that up. And the dark rift is like a division in the heavens. This is what is called the veil in the heavens. And we can see that as a representation here. The Milky Way is the veil. And the Holy of Holies is the constellation of Sagittarius. And again, if you've been following my research and you have been doing these Mazzaroth studies that I connect, then you'll know that Sagittarius is the tabernacle, which is considered the Holy of Holies. This is the inner sanctuary, and we see multiple signs here. In this, we see Corona Australis, and we also see Aquila, the eagle, and we have Scutum as the shield. And again, we are shown Ara right on the border. So let's go back and we can see how this is showing up in the heavens. Ara is right at the border. You have Milky Way, the veil. Sagittarius as a constellation is the Holy of Holies. And then you have the Ark of the Covenant, and that is the Sagittarius Ark, or the Sagittarius boat. And we can see that represented here in the tabernacle of Sagittarius. And it is a representation of an ark or a boat, and it is right on the Milky Way. And this boat is been turned into all kinds of myth, and this is essentially, again, this dark rift, and the Milky Way are considered a river in the heavens. And so what we're looking at is multiple signs of this Sagittarius. We're going to go here really quick. This is a depiction of Sagittarius with Corona Australis. And if you've been following me, then you know that this is the crown of the white horse rider, and we can see that depicted here. And this is the white horse rider has a crown. He's given a bow, and he rides out in battle, and his bow is pointed at the heart of the scorpion. And this area of the heart of the scorpion is the entrance to the Hupa. And the suns and moon and stars, they come through this section, and as they enter into this crab's claw area, they enter in. You can see it in the Scorpius, the lines that are determining the constellation marks. You can see here right at the crab's claw is where this constellation is ending in this section, and as the planets and the sun and the moon come through here, they traverse through this section of Scorpio, and when they hit this end of this claw section, then they enter into the house of Ophiuchus, and you can see that here. And so we are looking at a very important depiction. We are breaking down all of these signs that are the furnishings of the tabernacle, are representations of this heavenly tabernacle that is the ancient tabernacle. This is why the Israelites built a tabernacle in the first place. Again, these are the above being represented to us below, and these are a shadow of things to come, because what is to come is the heavenly, and the heavenly is what we are to be looking at as our ultimate representation. And again, we have this very important sign that is, to me, a proof of what I have been looking at. This is a direct proof of the calendar, and it is a direct proof of the time that we're in with the Mazzaroth Hanukkah. Now, this sign is happening the day after the Mazzaroth Hanukkah ends, but what I'm going to be bringing out is a study that I did last year. There's other brothers and sisters and Bible researchers that have done this research, and there's actually a 15-day period of what they would call tabernacles. There was an 8-day feast for the people, but day 8 was day 1 of the priestly feast. And there was 15 days because day 8 was transferred to the end of the 14 days, 7 and 7, plus the great 8th day. And we are going to show you how that is going to manifest for Mazzaroth Hanukkah. And as I've said earlier in the video, Tabernacles has been transferred to Hanukkah, and our entire 2 weeks and the great 8th day, which is the 15th day, will be celebrated during this time. And I believe personally that the division between the two is a high potential of our escape of the bride, because we should be tabernacling with the bridegroom for a week. And I am seeing this as our transfer from the earthly to the heavenly. Thanks for coming, family. We are going to be getting back to showing the signs for Mazzaroth Hanukkah. We'll be back either late on the 16th or early on the 17th. I have one more video that I'm going to be bringing out called Athena, and that is going to be about the war of the lasers. And I have done some deep research into directed energy weapons, and I want to bring that out in the next video. And we're going to dig into that because of the things that are happening in our time, and I think it's important for us to have some understanding of what is happening in our world. There are a lot of people who misunderstand the things that are happening in the news, and they're very confused. And I want to bring this out because there are some things that are happening that make this kind of information very timely, and we need to get it out to the people as quickly as possible. So again, thanks for coming. If you have any questions or any information, please put it in the comments, and I will leave the links in the description. And we will see you very soon. Much love, and have a wonderful day.